Buying a course or coaching program is not an investment, and here's why. The online business culture has trained every seller to position their course as an investment, and this is not something that just happened by accident. A lot of stuff in the online world is kind of just people copying each other, and there's not like one thing you can point to. But the OG marketing courses that everybody learned marketing from specifically explicitly taught to call the thing that you're selling an investment in order to position the offer as a more premium thing and therefore justify charging more for it. And if you've ever felt a type of way about people calling these things investments or resisted using that term for something that you are selling, then you were right. And I can prove it. So the reason why I got mad about it is because an investment is a financial term with an actual definition. And as an accountant, I work with these financial terms. And so I was really able to see like, oh, now I get it. This is why it's not right. So an investment is, by definition, a deployment of capital into an asset with the expectation of generating income or appreciation and value over time. Now, an asset is a concrete thing that has an intrinsic value. It can gain in value or it generates revenue, and it can be resold. So you think of if I buy real estate, if I buy an apartment building, if I buy land, if I buy a piece of gold. This is something that has intrinsic value on its own. Apartment buildings will generate revenue from rents, so they're creating their own returns, and I can resell it. It will hopefully earn me some money on the sale later. Things don't always go up, but that's a different story. So an investment is putting money into an asset, and that's what makes it an investment. You're buying, you're creating, you're getting out of it somehow an asset. Now, this is as opposed to an expense, which in accounting is a cost incurred in everyday operations. So you're trading money for a consumable thing. So you're trading it for your software subscription. You're trading money for electricity and Wi-Fi. And, these are necessary things that you need to run your business. But you're not keeping the electricity that you're using. You're using it. It's being used up. It's consumed. So it's not an asset. You can't then add that thing that you bought to your books as an asset that you own. This is an expense. So a course or a coaching program or a service or pretty much anything people sell online is by definition an expense because you're paying money, you're getting the information in return or the templates or the checklists or the tools. You're getting something in return for it, but that thing is a consumable. And so the money's gone. The thing itself is not going to generate money on its own. The information, you consume it, and then you move on with your life. So it's not an asset that you can put on your books. It doesn't generate money on its own, and you can't resell it later. So any returns on this expense come from what you do with it, which makes the return entirely dependent on the buyer, which is why calling it an investment is dishonest, because it's only an investment if the thing itself, independent of anyone else, generates a return. If the buyer has to take action and be the return themselves, then it's not an investment. Investments also have expected measurable returns within specific timeframes, and there's a way to measure the risk involved. So if we're thinking about investments like stocks and bonds or exchange traded funds, ETFs, you're putting money into the stock market with the expected return of a certain percentage, depending on how conservative or aggressive, your portfolio is. But you can expect a return of some kind by so many years. And you can calculate the risk of putting your money into this investment based on how well it's done for other investors. And you can consider the opportunity cost of, if I put it in this investment versus that one, like I might lose time or money depending on which one I put it on. So these are things that you can calculate and make a decision based on. But most course creators, myself included, cannot quantify a return on investment like that. We can't make guarantees like that. We can't say, take my course and I can guarantee a 12% return on your investment. That's most of the time what we're selling is knowledge, and knowledge is valuable. but it's not an asset in that it generates a quantifiable return. Now, the only exception to this quantifiable return thing is industries like ad agencies or lead gen agencies, where they can quantify the number of leads or the conversion rates that they get for you, which, if they are guaranteeing a certain number of booked sales calls or whatever, like, definitely hold them to that. Otherwise, they haven't met their end of the bargain. But they are an exception to the quantifiable return. So when marketers throw around words like investment and return on investment and ROI, which is the abbreviation for return on investment, they're using financial words that mean something that most people have a concept of, but not really understanding the actual definition of. And the reason why I think that it is so pernicious and so dangerous to the industry as a whole for both the sellers and the buyers is because the core issue is a conflict of interest. When a financial advisor is recommending an investment to someone, there is very, very strict regulation around what they can recommend, whether or not they can have a personal vested interest in it, whether or not they're going to get a kickback from it. Some situations, they're like an affiliate, they can get a kickback from the investment product itself, but they for sure have to disclose that. And some certain professionals can't recommend anything that they are going to get personal returns from. So this is a very highly regulated field because this kind of dishonesty and manipulation is so dangerous when you're talking about people's life savings. And the government and society has recognized that this is a very serious situation to be in, and so they have highly regulated it in order to protect the buyers and the sellers. But the online business world has taken these words and now are using them in a very different sort of situation that has none of that accountability, none of those consequences. So they're borrowing the authority positioning of these trustworthy words without actually having anything to back it up and without having any consequences for misleading people that way. So it's a trap for both the seller and the buyer, because when the thing, the course, the program, whatever, when it's framed as an investment, the thing that is being sold becomes the buyer's results. But the buyer's results are dependent on the buyer. And so if the buyer doesn't get results, then the seller blames them for not doing the work, which is something that I hear a lot. They didn't do the work. Nobody wants to do the work, blah, blah, blah. Well, what does doing the work mean? In this case, it's they didn't get the result that I promised them. Therefore, they must have been lazy. They must have not implemented the thing. They must have not taken it seriously enough. And maybe possibly the few people who do get the results are bringing in extenuating factors that they already had in their arsenals that they didn't get from the course or the program. And so the course creator or program seller is taking credit for their success when there's too many factors. Maybe it's a correlation, but you certainly can't prove causation. You can't say my course is what got them their success, because there's too many other factors. You don't know what other things they've brought in. So even from like a scientific experiment standpoint, this couldn't be proven that this course got this person this result and the course was the defining factor that made the difference. There's no way to prove that. So if you're resistant calling your course or offer an investment, and you were working with a coach or you were in a program where the program was teaching you to do this thing and you're resisting calling it that, you were probably told that you have a mental money block, or that you should believe in your thing more, or that you're just not ready, or that you need to believe in yourself. And all of this is BS. It's not a mental money block. You are right. This icky feeling that you're getting is your integrity refusing to be gaslit, because something deep inside of you knows that this is not reality. It's not how it works. It's not how it should work. And you're resisting lying, which is a good thing. And you should definitely encourage that part of yourself. So when we're talking about money mindsets and believing in yourself, this phrase, investing in yourself, gets thrown around a lot. And there's two sides to this coin. And so I want to treat both independently, because on the one hand, investing in yourself is a legitimate thing, because your mind, your skills, Your knowledge, your expertise are how you create and how you provide value and how you have something to share with the world. So improving yourself is 100% a positive thing to do, but it can be done in so many ways. And it's all dependent on you as an individual person. So it could be reading a book. It could be talking to a stranger. It could be having a hard conversation with your spouse. It could be learning about boundaries. It could be hiring a therapist. It could be reading every book in your library for free. It could be taking a YouTube course, like going through a bunch of videos on YouTube. It could be taking time to meditate and making time to go to the gym and buying a little nicer quality food. Like, investing in yourself is a term that applies to the entire spectrum of self-improvement. So that part is true. Investing in yourself is important. But the other side, the flip side that I object to, is when marketing then gaslights you into thinking investing in yourself equals buying the specific thing that they're selling. So an article that's encouraging you to invest in yourself and listing a bunch of ways to do that is great. A sales pitch encouraging you to invest in yourself by buying the specific thing is a sales pitch. And a sales pitch that's pressuring you to invest in yourself by buying the specific thing or else, because what is your future worth to you and how much time do you have to waste? And successful people are the ones who say yes and move fast. And are you the kind of person who invests in yourself? That is emotional coercion. And that is what I have the biggest problem with. So if you are selling a course, if you want to sell a course, if you're selling anything online, the way to get around this is to not engage in this rhetoric, in this copywriting strategy. Just be honest about what the thing is. It's a course. It's a coaching package. It's a service. You're not trying to sell a transcendental, vague portal to another state of being. You're selling a concrete thing, a product or a service, packaged as a product. Ta-da! You're promising to do this. Now, what the buyer gets out of it is up to them. And you're not promising results. You're not making promises you can't keep. So you're going to say in your marketing, you're going to say, here's what it is. Here's what's in it. Here's who it's for. Here's who it's not for. Here's the prerequisites that you need in order to get the results that you're hoping for. So if someone's buying a copywriting course, they're hoping to write better sales pages. Well, what other things do they need? They need to have something to sell that's proven. Like taking your course on copywriting a sales page is not going to magically have them end up with something to sell. Like they need these other factors and prerequisites to get the ultimate result of the thing that you're helping them get, but you're not promising to get it for them. And you're not promising that your thing is going to be the magic pill that gets them there. And then, sure, share testimonials about other people that have taken your course or worked with you, share their results, but don't harp on the one person who made the most money. I feel like that's the main way that people are dishonest about results, because by holding up the one golden child, teacher's pet student who made the most money while they were working with you, it's implicitly implying that everybody else who's going to work with you is going to get the same outcome. And like I said, that student that got that outcome brought in a whole bunch of other factors that you have no idea about. And so you can't honestly claim credit for their success. Their success is their success. Sure, you helped them get there, but like I said, you can't prove causality in your thing. So when you're sharing testimonials, share a range of testimonials. Ask people to share how they felt about working with you as a person. Ask them how they felt about working, if it's a group thing, how they felt about the group. Marketing is taught as you're supposed to promise the result, because nobody cares about the thing. They don't want to buy, a car. They want to buy freedom. They don't want to buy a gym membership. They want to buy a sexy body. If they're buying a marketing course, they're trying to buy a successful business. Sure, the end result that they have in mind is a successful business, but a marketing course is not going to get them a successful business. So you know that this is the trajectory that they're going towards, and this is the ultimate outcome that they want, but positioning or promising that this one piece that is the course offer equals this humongously involved and complicated outcome is where it gets icky and dishonest. So if there's still a part of your brain that's like, oh, but isn't that underselling myself to just be like, I'm selling a course. Here you go. Here's some knowledge. Like, isn't that underselling? Like, am I not believing in it enough? No, it's not underselling. It's being honest about what it is. And it's trusting the buyer to make an intelligent decision and trusting your work to be worth buying. And if you feel a lot of fear or pressure around, oh, but I have to convince them to buy it, a good offer, a good service, a good product doesn't need to convince anyone to buy it. It is good, and that value is implicit and visible. So feeling pressure or being pressured by your teacher or coach to do a bunch of convincing is a red flag that maybe the offer itself, the product itself, needs some more work and some more proof before you put a bunch of time and effort into figuring out the marketing and the selling of it. It would be better to take all of that time and energy and effort and put it into improving the thing itself. So the industry is going to try to gaslight you into making promises you're not sure you can keep, and you don't have to do that. You can refuse. It's your thing. It's your sales page. It's your copy. You don't have to write a emotionally manipulative sales page just because that's what you've been taught. You can be honest and upfront and above board, and that will sell so much better than anything that these manipulative marketers can come up with. Now, if you're buying a course and you're hesitating because it's being framed as an investment and you're like, something feels off, you are right. Something's probably off. You do not have a mindset problem for hesitating. You are reading the situation correctly. So go through the decision-making matrix, which I have for free in my resource library. It's linked below. Go through that. Give yourself permission to see through the BS and evaluate it for what it is. A purchase, a business expense, and see what it is that you're trying to solve and whether or not this specific thing is the appropriate solution for you in your business at this point in time. And if it's not, then don't buy it, and don't let them bully you into thinking that you need to invest in yourself, because you are investing in yourself. Not spending money that you don't need to spend is investing in yourself. Saving money instead of wasting it is investing in yourself. And it's more financially responsible than buying something to prove that you're the kind of person who would invest in yourself. You do not need to prove anything to anybody. Nobody owns the concept of investing in yourself. It is up to you and your unique, wonderful self to figure out what that means and what level of investing in yourself you can afford right now, and who you're going to trust to help you get there, wherever there is for you, because that's very different for each individual person. This adventure of self-improvement is a lifetime one. There's a bazillion different multifaceted ways that could be in your life versus my life versus somebody else's life. Don't let anybody emotionally manipulate you into thinking that you have to buy a thing to invest in yourself. You are worth getting what you need when you need it.